What looks like a harmless public appearance can turn uncomfortable in seconds, and this compilation argues that Meghan Markle has repeatedly been caught trying to control the people around her on camera, with tiny gestures becoming moments viewers cannot stop replaying. The first scene arrives at the Invictus Games in Canada, where Meghan is posing with veterans and a woman using a wheelchair is carefully arranging herself for a group photograph. Instead of allowing the woman to position herself at her own pace, Meghan reaches over, takes hold of the chair, and turns it. The reaction is immediate, surprise, confusion, and a split-second expression that makes the whole moment feel far bigger than a simple photo adjustment. The uncomfortable question hangs there: why intervene at all? A wheelchair is not scenery, and the criticism in the footage is that Meghan treated it as something that could be repositioned for convenience. That is why this first clip lands so hard. Meghan appears impatient, and the camera catches every second. Then the attention shifts to another Canadian appearance, where Harry and Meghan attend David Foster's Foundation Gala celebrating 4 decades of charity work. The night is supposed to center on Foster, but the footage frames Meghan as immediately trying to organize the red carpet. As Foster approaches, Meghan gestures toward the place she apparently wants him to stand, as though the photograph has suddenly become her responsibility. Foster does not appear interested in being directed and simply keeps moving, barely acknowledging the instruction before standing where he chooses. Meghan is left there after trying to steer the man at his own event, while cameras keep rolling. It is a tiny social collision, but in this compilation it becomes another clue. Meghan does not merely enter a scene, she seems determined to shape it. The next moment becomes even more awkward because Harry is directly involved. At a polo charity match trophy presentation, Harry has finished playing, and Dr. Sophie Chandoka, chair of the Sentebale Foundation that Harry co-founded, is already positioned on stage beside Meghan. Nothing appears wrong with the arrangement, yet Meghan turns towards Sophie and tells her to move across so she can stand beside Harry. Sophie shifts, and the open place is immediately taken. Despite leading an organization Harry helped establish, the charity chair is suddenly treated like someone who can simply be rearranged for the photograph. The presentation continues, and the visual is difficult to ignore. The criticism practically writes itself: why was that positioning so important? The pattern continues during the 2018 Australia tour. Meghan is presenting an award to a young woman who naturally tries to share a few words during the brief encounter, instead of letting the conversation breathe. Meghan cuts it short and moves the moment toward photographs. The scene feels strangely transactional. The recipient has just been honored, yet the camera seems to become the priority. One conversation disappears, one image gets arranged, and Meghan once again appears to be deciding exactly how long a public interaction is allowed to last. Then comes the walkabout after the Queen's funeral, and the atmosphere changes completely. William and Catherine are there during an extraordinary moment of public mourning. Harry is grieving too, but the footage is interpreted as showing Meghan closely watching William while signaling Harry where to stand and when to move. Harry follows, another gesture comes, and Harry responds again. The compilation presents Meghan as managing positioning even there, when the occasion itself seems to demand simplicity rather than choreography. Harry appears emotionally drained, and the repeated cues make the footage feel even more uncomfortable. Finally, Meghan notices a young girl in the crowd and calls her forward. The girl seems hesitant, but Meghan pulls her into a hug as cameras capture the interaction. The girl's expression does not fully match the polished image being created, and that contrast is exactly what makes the clip linger. Meghan holds the embrace, appears ready for the photograph, and leaves viewers with one uneasy question: was the moment about connection or control? And that uncertainty is exactly where this first half leaves the story: ordinary gestures, uncomfortable reactions, and a pattern becoming harder to dismiss on screen. And then comes the moment that pushes this entire pattern into territory that is almost impossible to ignore. Because at an outdoor event, Meghan is interacting with children when one easygoing little boy naturally reaches toward the woman standing behind her, apparently just trying to offer a friendly greeting. Nothing dramatic, nothing inappropriate, just a child being polite. But suddenly Meghan reaches in, grabs the boy's hand and pulls it back before the handshake can happen. Think about that for a second. The interaction was already unfolding naturally, yet Meghan physically interrupted it, and the camera caught everything. Why stop something so harmless? Why control even that tiny movement? That is what makes the clip so uncomfortable. The boy was simply saying hello, but Meghan appeared unwilling to allow an unscripted interaction happening beside her to continue. Even something as innocent as a child's handshake somehow became another moment that needed intervention. Then the tension moves moves directly into the marriage itself. Harry is standing at a public event, speaking normally with someone, when Meghan apparently decides the conversation has lasted long enough. Meghan reaches over and grabs Harry's hand. Harry pulls away, Meghan tries again, Harry pulls away again. And suddenly, this is no longer just another polished public appearance because the resistance is visible. For a brief second, Harry appears unwilling to be redirected, but Meghan does not stop. Meghan reaches in again, and eventually Harry gives in and moves. That tiny struggle says more than a perfectly staged interview ever could. Harry clearly understood what the gesture meant, and Meghan clearly expected the signal to work. By another red carpet appearance, the same behavior almost looks routine. Harry is talking with people when Meghan reaches across, grabs Harry's arm, and physically moves Harry toward another position. No long discussion, no visible negotiation. Meghan simply redirects Harry, and Harry goes. That is the strange part. There is barely even a reaction anymore. The movement happens with such familiarity that it appears almost rehearsed through repetition. Harry once operated in environments where independence and discipline mattered enormously. Yet here, Harry is being repositioned in front of cameras with a grip on the arm, and nobody even pauses. Another clip shows Harry approaching a woman to greet her before Meghan immediately catches Harry by the arm and pulls Harry backward. Some Meghan supporters have suggested the intervention involved cultural sensitivity because the woman was wearing a hijab, but that interpretation raises another question. Would Harry really need Meghan physically preventing Harry from completing a greeting? Harry spent years attending formal engagements where protocol and cultural etiquette were constantly explained. Yet once again, Meghan is caught stepping into an interaction and deciding when Harry should stop. Then, on the 1st of February, Harry and Meghan visit Bristol. Harry naturally begins interacting with children, joking and engaging with them until Meghan moves closer and pushes Harry backward while Harry is still speaking with the children. Again, the camera makes the moment difficult to explain away. Harry was not causing a scene. Harry was not doing anything obviously inappropriate, yet Meghan intervened physically. Why? And then Meghan becomes even less subtle. In front of photographers, Meghan physically positions both Harry and a young girl exactly where Meghan apparently wants them for a photograph. There is already a photographer present whose job is literally to organize the picture, but Meghan still takes control of the composition herself, shifting people into place before smiling for the camera as though nothing unusual happened. Finally, Harry and Meghan are walking hand in hand when Harry recognizes someone and attempts to reach out. Meghan tightens her grip. Harry visibly struggles for a moment, but eventually stays with Meghan. Then come the smaller gestures. A tap, an arm grab, a movement instantly obeyed. Watch closely. Meghan barely needs words anymore. Harry seems to understand the signal immediately, and that is what makes these 13 moments so provocative. One clip might be dismissed. Two might be coincidence. But when the same gestures appear again and again, viewers inevitably start asking whether they are watching affection, habit, image management, or something much more controlling. Meghan Markle's behavior has been captured from charity stages to public walkabouts, while the reactions around her have repeatedly fueled the controversy. The cameras stopped recording eventually. The questions did not.